Tonight, on the world's most amazing videos, a motorcycle racer loses control and rockets down the asphalt. Plus, a base jumper pulls the ripcord too late and smashes into the rocks. Then, a truck is caught on the tracks and ripped apart by a speeding train. And it's terror at an amusement park when a man falls off a Ferris wheel. And later, when fire engulfs an apartment building, a little girl is trapped. Can anyone save her before she jumps? These are the incredible true life stories of people who face their most desperate hour and live to tell about it. Everything you are about to see is real. Real people, real danger, real excitement. Get ready to experience the thrill of a lifetime. You are about to witness the world's most amazing videos.
The Isle of Man. Time trials are underway for the world-famous Manx Grand Prix. High-performance motorcycles blaze through the streets at blistering speeds. At 170 miles an hour, there's zero margin for error.
Well, on the road now, 10 miles into the course, bright sunshine here, as you can see. And this is
As he rounds a turn, racer Paul Orrich's motorcycle begins a dangerous wobble. He struggles desperately to hang on, but loses control. His body tumbles another 50 feet, coming to rest in a twisted heap.
That was a big accident for number 34.
A track official rushes in to shield the injured biker from other racers.
The marshal there, very bravely, straight out from behind the wall, does not hesitate to protect the rider.
The harrowing ordeal begins when a rear shock absorber snaps. The brake triggers a severe vibration. Orrick doesn't stand a chance. The battered racer suffers multiple fractures. After cheating death in this vicious crash, Orrick declares his racing days are over.
Five, four, three,
Norway.
2, 1, go!
Base jumpers free fall off a 3,000-foot cliff. They're packing parachutes. But these adrenaline junkies don't plan to use them. Not until they're less than 700 feet from the ground. The first two jumpers deploy their chutes. But Avery Battenhop, wearing the helmet cam, wants an even bigger thrill. He waits. Seconds from the ground, he pulls the ripcord. The chute tangles. Below, nothing but rocks. Avery plunges from the sky and slams into the hillside. His friends lose sight of him. They fear he has been torn to pieces on the jagged boulders. Then they hear a voice.
I'm okay!
Not only is Avery alive, he's virtually unharmed. Incredibly, he lands on a small patch of grass that breaks his fall.
That sucked. Hardcore. I look up above my head and all I see is just a little ball of nylon. When I hit the ground, it was like, instant stars and dazed and confused, and it knocked me silly, and it just took me a few seconds to really gather my composure and thought I was gonna die. You know, my first thought was, wow, look, heaven looks just like Norway.
Avery lives for danger, but the thrill may be gone after this death-defying plunge. Jefferson, Georgia. Engines roar at the Peach State Speedway. For Joe McCannon in the Yellow Firebird, tonight's race is all about family and friends. Joe's oldest son, Michael, is his crew chief. And he's locked in a battle for first place with his best friend.
We had lapped the third place car that day. That's how fast we was.
With only half a lap to go, the racing buddies collide.
It was just a racing accident. He was on the high side and I was on the low, and we were just trying our best to win.
The drivers hit the wall. Joe is fine, but his son Michael doesn't know that. Instinctively, he runs onto the track to check on his dad. It's a tragic mistake. A car plows into Joe, brutally launching his son 50 feet down the asphalt. His lifeless body lies sprawled on the track. Joe can't believe what he's just seen and is terrified of what he will find when he reaches his son.
I was the first one to Michael. Blood was coming out of his mouth. I just thought, oh, Lord, I thought the worst.
Miraculously, Michael is alive. He tries to get up, but is too weak.
I said, no, son, don't move. No, don't move. Squeeze Daddy's hand if you're okay.
I woke up in the hospital just screaming and crying, and we're so glad you're back. And I'm thinking, where did I go?
An amazing stroke of luck may have saved Michael's life. While he leans into the window, his aunt cries out to him. Michael looks up a split second before impact, sparing him almost certain decapitation.
My head might have been laying in my dad's lap.
Michael makes a full recovery, but his dad is haunted by the accident and quits racing forever.
I don't believe I could be as competitive as we used to after the wreck, because in the back of my mind, it would always be, where's everybody at? I just don't feel like I would be. I'm not the one to get back in the car.
I love my dad, you know, and I didn't want to lose him out there on the track.
Coming up, a kayaker is caught in a killer whirlpool. Plus, a runaway rental truck demolishes a police car. Then, a wannabe stuntman takes it on the chin. When the world's most amazing videos continues.
Oxnard, California. Traffic backs up at a railroad crossing. Truck driver Teresa Senator starts moving across the tracks. The crossing arm drops right on top of Teresa's cab.
I hear a thump, and I'm going, what the heck was that? And I'm watching this gate run down the length of my trailer.
That's when she spots the train.
I knew I was dead.
The Amtrak liner smashes into Teresa at 79 miles an hour. The trailer is sheared off and pulverized. There's no movement inside the cab. Then the door opens. Teresa is okay.
Oh my God, she should have been dead. Yeah. She's lucky as hell. Oh my God.
The lady trucker walks away under her own power. And she's even carrying her dog. Teresa never sees the warning lights flashing because they are behind her. But when she hears the gate bang on her roof, she knows she's in big trouble.
My eyes were going, oh my God. Once that gate drops, you're looking at less than 2 seconds before you're dead. I was definitely lucky, there is no doubt about it. By the time I saw the gate fall behind me, I was kissing my butt goodbye. Boom, it's gone.
New York's Moose River. A band of kayakers take on the whitewater. They slam down waterfalls. They are churned in the rapids and come up for more. Most of the time. Now, a kayaker named Simon plunges over. Quickly, his friends realize he's in trouble. Deep trouble. Simon is caught in a powerful undertow. He's fighting for his life. Simon is spit from the cockpit into the roiling foam. He's pulled under and lost. His friends throw a safety line from the shore, but there's no taker. Suddenly, Simon bursts to the surface. It's a frantic race against the merciless whitewater to reach him. Another kayaker paddles furiously to save the drowning man. But will he make it in time? Simon pops to the surface. His friends cheer as he backstrokes toward rescue. Fortunately, he'll make it. The ride went wrong right after he shot the rapid. The waters hide a hole 30 feet deep. It creates a sucking current that's nearly impossible to escape. Simon is like a fly in a watery web.
We thought he drowned.
I mean, luckily he got out, and we should all be very thankful of that because, you know, we could have come very close to witnessing a death here today.
Back on shore, Simon collapses from exhaustion. He's saved because he's a trained athlete with an amazing ability to hold his breath. It takes that and more to fight these rapids and come out on top. Lowestoft, England, a coastal town famous for its annual air show. Thousands line the beach to watch pilots taunt death with their risky and hazardous stunts. A fan favorite is the Royal Air Force Harrier. It may look like an ordinary jet, but it has some mind-boggling moves. It can hover like a helicopter. It even flies backwards. And now the pilot is about to deliver his big finish, a bow to his audience. But something's wrong. The jet's engines whine and strain. The aircraft suddenly drops from the sky. The pilot ejects, just seconds before his fighter slams into the sea. But there's even more trouble. Strong winds blow the pilot back toward the crash. Now he's being sucked under by the churning wake of the sinking jet. A naval rescue boat speeds to the scene. The only sign of the pilot is his empty parachute. Then an incredible sight. The pilot pops to the surface with a wave to the crowd. Crewmen pluck him from the water, battered but alive. The $26 million jet is also salvaged. An investigation would later reveal that pilot error was to blame for the harrowing crash. But thanks to the quick response of rescuers, he didn't pay for his mistake with his life. Evansville, Indiana. Patrolman Matt Hastings is in a high-speed chase with a fugitive in a stolen truck.
I've never been in a pursuit with such a large vehicle as a U-Haul. He got up onto the interstate and he started acting reckless. That's when the intensity changed. He wasn't going to be easily stopped.
Officers know there's only one way to stop this deadly pursuit: with spike strips. Up ahead, Patrolman Kirk Tevault rolls out the spikes. But the driver spots his trap. Instead of slowing down, he guns it and heads straight for Officer Tevault. Watch again. The madman veers to avoid the spike strips and slams into Tevault's cruiser.
As I was putting the last stop stick down, I looked up and seen the U-Haul coming. I took off running to the median. I mean, just to get away from the impact.
Patrolman Hastings watches in horror from behind the truck.
He pretty much drove up and over Sergeant Tevault's car. My adrenaline started pumping. My main concern was Officer Tevault's safety.
For the officer, the difference between life and death is 3 seconds.
Luckily, the car didn't spin around. I mean, no debris came my way. It was pretty lucky, I guess.
The truck is totaled, and there's nowhere left to run. After a heart-stopping chase, the driver of the stolen rental truck is hauled off to jail.
Up next, a street luger hits the hay and almost loses a foot. Then, a horse tumbles off a catwalk and crashes down on the crowd. And later, a speeding cyclist flies over the wall and lands flat on his face. When the world's most amazing videos returns.
St. George, Utah. Extreme sport competitors battle for a position in an event called street luge. These sleds have no brakes and reach blistering speeds of 70 miles an hour. Racer Johnny Moore knows it will take a perfect performance to win.
It was the X Games qualifier. All the best street lugers in the world were in St. George, Utah on this hill.
Johnny barrels into a dangerous curve.
Oh my God. Hey, we need a doctor or something.
It's up on course.
Watch again. Johnny and another racer collide, then slam feet first into a wall of hay bales. Johnny's foot is completely bent back by the impact.
It's up on course. It's up on course.
We hit these alfalfa bales, and it was like running into a brick wall. It was like somebody hit me with a baseball bat. Next thing I know, pull my leg up out of the hay, and there's just 2 bones sticking out.
It's a horrifying discovery. His foot is nearly severed at the ankle. The other racer cradles his wounded competitor.
Oh my God. Hey, we need a doctor or something, man.
It's up on course.
The only thing that was keeping my foot attached to my leg was my artery and my tendon that was wrapped inside my racing sock.
Johnny regains the use of his foot and leg after 30 staples, 50 stitches, and 100 nightmares. The race gone wrong. Lima, Peru. A maiden riding a white stallion caps off the pageantry of a fashion show. The model is Frida Hoyer, a former Miss Peru and an expert equestrian. Frida and her regal steed reach the end of the catwalk and pose for pictures, when suddenly the animal is spooked by the camera flashes. Its back leg slips. Both Frida and the stallion tumble off the stage. Frida wisely kicks her boots free of the stirrups, avoiding injury. But when the horse struggles to climb back on the catwalk, the 1,400-pound beast topples backward, crashing down on the stunned audience. The crowd panics. Remarkably, the horse staggers to its feet unharmed. One terrified woman is inconsolable. Although shaken by the ordeal, no one is injured. They are all grateful to have survived a fashion misstep that could have spelled disaster. Chicago, Illinois. A fire rages through an apartment building. Dazed residents rush from their beds into the cold winter night. It appears that everyone made it out. But the smoke momentarily clears to reveal a terrifying sight.
She's up there.
7 stories up, Renika Robertson is trapped. In the chaos of the evacuation, the 10-year-old ran back into her room. Now her mother watches helplessly from the street below.
I saw my baby in the window. She couldn't breathe.
The little girl is engulfed in a black cloud of toxic smoke. The flames are creeping closer. desperate.
I kept saying, don't jump, don't jump.
A ladder truck races into position. Firefighters fear Renika will jump before they reach her.
I kept saying, get my baby, just get my baby.
When we hear that people are trapped, which we hear it quite a bit, that's the worst scenario.
Firefighter Danny Woodville dashes to save the little girl.
I was running up the ladder as it was still going up. I was yelling up to her, don't jump, you know, because she was waving her arms and I could see the smoke coming out from the sides of her.
Danny's got her. But there's a new danger. The ladder is unsteady, and the frightened child is clutching Danny with all her might.
The adrenaline was really going. My heart was pounding. You want to just rescue her whether you hurt yourself or not.
Another firefighter lends a hand. Renika is safe, comforted in the arms of her brave heroes.
It was a happy ending to this one.
Her mother is overcome with relief and gratitude.
Every time I think about it, I get to crying. Yes, I do. Because that was like a death trap for me and my family.
Coming up, a man dangles from the top of a Ferris wheel and falls. Then, a teenager tries a reckless stunt and is knocked out cold. But first, brazen thieves lasso an ATM and make a hefty withdrawal. When the world's most amazing videos continues.
Mexico City, the World Cup cycling competition. They call this stretch of track the Curve of Death. And it's about to live up to its name. Trouble starts when an inside racer shoulders the front runner. That sets off a terrible chain reaction. Cyclist Johnny Bayros flies over the track wall and lands face first on the concrete 30 feet below. Officials find Johnny in bad shape. He's in excruciating pain with a broken nose and jaw. Another look shows just how risky a high-speed bicycle race can be. The slightest physical contact is enough to send the entire pack careening out of control. But this devastating crash isn't enough to keep Johnny off the track. He not only returns to racing, he wins Olympic gold. Not bad for a racer who nearly fell victim to the curve of death. Davenport, Iowa. When the Ferris wheel stalls, a man panics. Terribly frightened, he climbs out of his seat. His friend struggles to pull him back in. If she leans too far forward, the young man will fall. Desperate, she grabs hold of his shirt. But it's no use. Watch again. terrified man crashes onto one support beam and then another. Carnival workers scramble to his aid before he falls again. The man is so scared he won't let go of the beam. It takes 5 workers to loosen his grip. Finally, he safely reaches the ground. To everyone's relief, the man suffers only minor cuts and bruises. A welcome ending to a thrill ride that nearly led to catastrophe. Kansas City, Missouri. It's 3 a.m. when 2 men approach a convenience store carrying crowbars. The doors are locked, but that's not going to be a problem. They're here to make an ATM withdrawal, not with a PIN number, but with a heavy steel chain. The robbers back up a truck, then break the bank. The cash machine is ripped from its foundation and carried off. Within seconds, the smash and grab crooks are long gone. It looks like a flawlessly executed robbery, except for one minor detail. The thieves snagged the ATM, but they forgot all about the security cameras. The cops got their license plate.
Coming up, a powerful mudslide wipes out an entire neighborhood. And deadly black ice wreaks havoc, and a cop is a sitting duck. Plus, rival gangs square off in a savage prison riot. As the world's most amazing videos returns.
Pelican Bay Correctional Facility, California. One of America's most violent prisons. Everything seems routine in the exercise yard, but tension is rising between rival gangs. Then suddenly, a riot. Brutal beatings spread to every corner of the yard. The massive brawl is a coordinated attack. An inmate runs and throws the first punch. It's a signal for everyone else to strike. Security guards fire tear gas and warning shots. The inmates ignore them. The kicking and punching continue. Fists fly in a massive free-for-all. Reinforcements arrive. More tear gas is fired. And the yard is finally locked down. It is the most violent prison riot in California history. Society may be safe from these men, but in here, the inmates aren't safe from themselves. Chicago, Illinois. An expressway slick with ice, black ice, thin, nearly invisible to drivers. The ice has caused a car to crash in the fast lane. Trooper Jeff Oken parks his cruiser to prevent a pileup. But behind him, drivers are approaching way too fast.
Major accident. Call EMS immediately. Immediate EMS.
The SUV's brakes are useless on this treacherous surface. The vehicle slams into Trooper Oken's car and flips.
I was in pain. My head was pounding, my neck was hurting, my shoulder was hurting. But at least I'm still alive.
As the SUV barrels down, Trooper Oken makes a desperation move.
All of a sudden, I'm looking in my rearview mirror. I seen an SUV coming. The vehicle was not slowing down. I knew I was going to get hit.
That puff of smoke is from the cruiser's exhaust. Trooper Oken floors it, wheels spinning on the ice.
Just trying to save my life.
But the SUV is doing 70.
I thought I was going to die. You know, it just scares you.
Trooper Oken knows he's lucky to be alive. And incredibly, no one else is seriously hurt in the crashes caused by a slippery, invisible killer. El Salvador. A powerful hurricane spawns massive flooding and mudslides. Retaining walls are pushed to their limits. The driver of this pickup escaped certain death by mere seconds and inches. A mammoth tree rips down power lines, raising a fear of fire. Further up in the hills, a torrent of mud and debris thunders down a ravine. The ferocious current uproots whole trees as it gathers strength. Floodwaters surge over a wall and a motorist is trapped. The torrent nearly submerges his car. The man manages to escape just seconds before his car is overturned. The storm rages on for 5 more days, but it will cost billions before El Salvador recovers from nature's terrifying fury. Millstone, New Jersey. 17-year-old wannabe stuntman Ryan Gaboff is about to go airborne for a jump onto his roof.
Run!
He's short and manages only a nasty chin-up on the shingles and a 15-foot face plant into the dirt. Ryan knew he was headed for a head-on from the very start.
I started out on the road, pedaling as fast as I can. As soon as I got off the lip of the jump, I knew I wasn't going to make it, so I threw the bike, and I hoped for the best.
His brother fears the worst. He races over to discover Ryan lying face down in the dirt. Taking one on the chin knocks him out for almost 30 minutes. Once he wakes up, there's not a lot he remembers, except for a last-second shot to save himself.
I tried to grab onto the roof, but I was going too fast. My face hit the roof. Then I got knocked out.
Ryan gets a break. He's only inches from smashing into the concrete.
I guess I just got lucky. If I would have landed on the concrete, I could have cracked my head open and died.
Nevertheless, Ryan's determined to try the stunt again. Next time wearing a helmet with a chin strap.
These are the amazing stories of people caught in life and death situations who made it out alive. Join us next time for more of the world's most amazing videos.